older now, you know. Even when we was younger, that would have been a great matchup. But you just don't, you never know. I heard that he posted us and talked about us doing.
Older now, you realize that even when we were younger, that would have been a fantastic matchup. But you just don't know. I've heard that he blogged about us fighting. Floyd Mayweather and Gervonta Davis recently agreed to a fight that will take place after Gervonta after this year. Davis leaves the sport. Boxing fans are split on this one. Some think the two are staging for financial gain because they know how big of a crowd they can draw together, while others link it all to Dan Davis's most recent interview, which he gave ahead of his fight against Lamont Roach.
When I talked about the thing with Gervonta, for instance, when I said that I need all fighters,
in which he disclosed some additional information he had never previously disclosed. There is no difference from when I discussed the situation with Gervonta and IL. For example, when I stated I needed all fighters, I meant I need all the young. He claimed that their relationship deteriorated after Floyd Mayweather learned that Gervonta Davis and his daughter Mayweather had been having an affair. He immediately asserted his authority and did everything in his power to prevent things from getting too personal between Tank and his daughter. Regretfully, his first move was to push Gervonta Davis to a loss, but the Baltimore champion was endowed by the gods of boxing with a punch power that translates to super middleweight, so Mayweather's wish was not fulfilled.
Letting them know what's going on, like, see, this was happening, like, you feel me? I'm letting these guys know, so when it be like, people saying they want to fight me, it's
like, how could you, nigga, I was the one that...
No more playing games, telling them what's happening, like, see this, what's happening, you feel me? I'm telling these men this, so when they say they want to attack me, it's like, how could you? I was giving you game when Floyd kicked Tank Davis out of his boxing gym, which was one of the main things that caused them to break up.
Crazy trash talk with Gervonta and Terrence Crawford recently. And one of the things that I've always...
After this incident, John Davis was able to decipher the situation and realized he was no longer welcome around Floyd Mayweather. Gervonta and Terrence Crawford recently engaged in some kind of crazy trash talk. And one thing that I've always kind of noticed is that Tank left Mayweather's promotion started out on his own. With his successful career coming to an end, he opened a chapter for the aftermath of his retirement.
Lifetime losses. And you know, as long as you know you went out there and gave it 100% in that square circle. If you know you gave it 100% and you happy with what you did when you went out there, then that's what it is.
With an exhibition fight against Floyd Mayweather. But things heated up between them after they started arguing on social media. As long as you know you put your all into that square circle, you can be sure you gave it your all. Those are lifetime losses. And you happy with what you did when you went out there, then that's what it is. It is the worst of all was how Floyd Mayweather did not only pick sides against Davis in his last fight, but also act in a manner that was unlikely of a boxing legend. He was so after Gervonta Davis's loss that he felt his Instagram post about the fight being canceled wasn't enough. He also predicted a fight that was clearly an easy win for Gervonta Davis as a 50-50-yes and gave Frank Martin some tips to help him. Defeat Tank Davis this time. His feud with Gervonta Davis got so much into his head that he had secretly called Gervonta Davis's opponent Frank Martin and given him tips on how to beat Tank Davis, whether it fell on deaf ears or whether Floyd's instructions weren't just enough, we don't know. However, on Fight Night, Frank Martin, who seemed to put on a great show in the early rounds, fell short after 1 minute and 49 seconds in the 8th round.
Gervonta Davis.
Devastating blow from Gervonta Davis took him flat on the canvas, earning Gervonta Davis the 30th win of his career on DAV. But the true issue was Floyd Mayweather's involvement, who had obviously been at odds with Gervonta Davis in one of the most spectacular mentor versus protege feuds in recent memory. In one of his numerous pre-fight interviews, Frank Martin disclosed that Floyd Mayweather had assisted in some way prior to the bout in an attempt to exact revenge on Gervonta Davis.
To embrace guys, so what was being around talking to Floyd? Like, what has Floyd taught you about fighting? And has it made you a better fighter? Because he could tell me all day to do this.
For treating him disrespectfully. Young combatants, he enjoys embracing men. So what was it like to be with Floyd? And discuss what Floyd taught you about fighting. Has it improved your fighting skills? He can tell me to do that all day, __. Both boxing professionals and fans were taken aback when the Ghost Martin disclosed that Floyd Mayweather, the former coach and promoter Gervonta Davis.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does being around a guy like Floyd do for you?
he could tell you, go run at 2 in the morning. You know, go do it.
Has been giving him advice. The lightweight duo faced off in the ring on June 15th at MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, with Davis maintaining his World Boxing Association title. I couldn't do that. You get what I mean. Floyd could tell you to go for a run at 2 in the morning, but you should do it whenever you want to, and as was to be expected, there was a lot of trash talk. The two continue to breathe while entering the battle tank. Although Frank Martin
I've always been there for him from day one. We had a game plan, and my game plan was to...
The challenger gave Mike Tyson-style instruction during his appearance on the Pivot podcast, which was posted on YouTube prior to the fight. Davis was still the overwhelming favorite. He received money from Mayweather to have the upper hand in his bout with Devin Davis. My problem is that I supported him from the beginning. We had a plan, and I was going to help. Floyd Mayweather has now said, I do what I want to do and support whoever I feel like. What's wrong with Frank Martin meeting me for advice? If Tank comes, I'd advise him too. What's the issue you guys have with me? Frank Martin acknowledges that Floyd Mayweather's advice gives him a unique feeling.
Help him become world champion and take things to that next level. And I've always been there for him. And just over the years, you can see I've always been positive, always said great.
For the most part, Davis has always respected the former world champion, but Mayweather had remained in his corner despite their split and the many disagreements they had over the years. However, with the Davis-Martin bout alliances, things undoubtedly changed, help him become world champion and take things to the next level. And as you can see, I've always been there for him, especially since the highly publicized online battle between Tank and Mayweather last month. Martin responded as follows when asked if there was anything he had learned from Floyd Mayweather prior to the fight. He could tell you, man, go run at 2 in the morning, because 9 times out of 10, we know your opponent sleeps at that time.
9 out of 10, we know your opponent sleep at that time. So go run at 2 in the morning and go give yourself a mental edge, you know, like, cause you know you out there working every night at 2 in the morning running. That's...
The Detroit, Michigan native didn't say that Martin specifically needed to train during those hours, but rather that doing so would give him a mental edge over his opponent, because these are the little things that add up to big things. Martin made it clear that it wasn't anything he was unaware of or that it was significant. But hearing it from Floyd, who has been at the pinnacle of the sport, 10, we know you're up and sleep at that time. So go run at 2 o'clock in the morning and go get yourself a mental edge. For example, you know you're out there working every night at 2 o'clock in the morning running. So you're going to take a lot of heat to it. And it's going to give you a different type of motivation. When you do it, Martin added. Interestingly, Mike Tyson used to do exactly that before his fights to gain a mental edge over his opponents, which is why he became the youngest heavyweight champion and later an undisputed champion. Tyson's training regimen and Floyd's advice couldn't stop Devin Davis from doing what he planned to do on fight night. After spending 90 days in prison in Baltimore and a year-long layoff,
the claims on X that the fight was canceled the last couple of weeks.
He the one told Frank that I was running at 5 o'clock.
Due to his involvement in a hit-and-run case in 2022, Davis emerged victorious on fight night with an 8th-round knockout. 11, according to X's assertions, the fight was canceled a few weeks ago. As you may recall, he was the one who informed Frank that I was leaving at 5 o'clock. His skills in the ring were not diminished by the gap in his resume. Last April, Davis defeated Ryan Garcia in his final match.
7 o'clock in the morning, Friday. He told Frank that. He was giving Frank a tip.
Really? How do you know that? Just word of mouth?
I seen...
And he ended up defeating Frank Martin in a similar manner. In reality, the battle between Davis and Frank Martin was preceded by Davis's victory over Martin after the two sparred on social media. Mayweather advised his followers to watch the UFC instead. Notable boxing reporter Michael Benson wrote, Floyd Mayweather taunts Tank by claiming that the Frank Martin fight has been canceled, and Tank responds by saying that he will continue to talk and will come to your house and touch you. How do you know that this is just a rumor? In a post-fight interview, the boxing superstar disclosed that Mayweather had attempted to give his opponent advice on how to defeat him, giving Frank advice and the like, but I was certain that wouldn't be sufficient to defeat me. Davis went on to brutally knock out Martin.
Saying his people drive by while I was running.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they were like spying her, kind of?
No. He got a club.
On Saturday. It's okay, it's cool. He won't harm me. You understand? So I don't really give it much thought. Having a disagreement with him is preferable to being cool with him. Stop by for a little. Oh my goodness. So they were kind of eavesdropping on her. He got a club. You know, he at one point Floyd Mayweather informed Frank that I was sprinting at 5 o'clock to Von Davis. In reference to Mayweather's first remark that he believed was directed at him, Davis said, "There's no reason for me to go with Floyd." Davis had stated his willingness to deal with Floyd Mayweather in the ring, including his name among his contemporaries.
Yeah.
Care to elaborate on that?
Out of the sport.
After that second fight. Nah, no, I'm gonna win, bro.
Nah, I could tell you my fights.
Speaking to Davis, Nagy from Cigar Talk broached a feud with Mayweather, which prompted profound response from the Baltimore native. "A lot of people don't know what Floyd does. He was going at me, and I knew for sure he was going at me. That's why I went to him." Yes, TR, to elaborate on that, after a second fight, "I knew I was going to win, bro." I could tell you about my fights when Nagy brought the fact that Davis and Floyd's dynamic had appeared to be a love-hate relationship over the years. But Davis denied it outright and said he had outperformed Floyd's legacy. Davis wasn't finished, but "I'm almost at the point where I've passed him, and I'm doing it at a young age," said Tank, demonstrating his point by going into detail about a new contract he had signed. According to multiple reports, Mayweather's 2013 contract with Showtime was worth $200 million.
Me. You know, the Gervonta Davis fight with Lamont Roach. Lamont's a good fighter. He's a perennial contender. He's been a contender for his whole career. I think he's been pro for about a decade. I can remember him all the way back in his Golden Boy days. Was, solid perennial contender. Always came up just a little short and then finally got over the hump.
But Dante Davis has since changed his mind. Many boxing professionals think that despite his talent, Davis will become an ordinary fighter due to his poor choices and negligence. Some claim that Davis's seeming contentment with mediocrity is a major factor in his eventual decline into a mediocre fighter. Lamont Roach is a good fighter and a perennial contender who has been a contender for his entire career. I believe he has been a professional for around 10 years. I remember him from his Golden Boy days, when he was a solid perennial contender who always came up just a little short before finally getting over the hump.